time now. There's only 2 the difference. 7-5 to Judd Trump.
Quite right, Dennis. What entertainment, but what a response from this man, having been kind of mugged 2 frames ago. And suddenly, back-to-back, including a century, and he's right in the thick of the semi-final, Stephen.
Yeah, I mean, the standard of snooker marks played in the last 2 frames is wonderful. I mean, it's a semi-final of the World Championship. You would expect the standard to be very, very high. You would expect one chance to cost you the frame, and that's exactly what's happening at the moment. A response from missing that black off his spot, as I say, because of his temperament, because he can sort of put that at the back of his mind. Phenomenal.
I remember in the first round, Stevie played Wu Yiza, and he crafted his way through that one. He said, I can't outpot these young players, but I can still outwit them. He's doing a little bit of both in those last couple of frames, isn't he?
Yeah, but walking the higher wire, he's still very good in that department. And, you know, one of the most talented players I think we've ever seen in the game. May not be as demonstrative as some, you know, not crash, bang, wallop, sort of really sort of understated, but a level of skill that very few people have got.
In terms of what we've seen, it does make for a wonderful next 4 frames, clearly. What has Mark Williams given Judd Trump to think about in the interval, Stephen?
Basically, if Judd thought when he missed that black of a spot, OK, maybe he's not going to score today, he's maybe not going to win frames in one visit, maybe not going to punish me, it's basically just reminded him that, yes, I am going to get punished if I make a mistake. And that puts you back on the back foot.
He's got to be wary. I mean, it was 3 years ago that the 2 of them bludgeoned out the most incredible semi-final that went all the way to a final frame decider, won by Judd Trump, but not without giving us the most incredible memories along the way.
No, wary, respect, but not fear. I think that's by the time you get to the semi-finals, that you know you're respecting your opponent, but you don't fear it because you're fancying your job as well. So it's set up nicely. The standard has got better from the first session, as you would expect, as the pace builds up. And, you know, we could be in for a cracking finale, but still a lot of, you know, there's another session with no finish after this one. So you just got to keep grinding away all the time and keeping really focused.
It's absolutely fascinating stuff on our Friday afternoon. I really hope that you're enjoying it as well. Now, these guys in here, those guys out in the arena, are very familiar to us all. We've sort of shared an awful lot of experiences with them over the last few decades, in fact. But there are also people here that you don't know in the Crucible, but without whom this championship simply would not take place. And we thought that you might like to meet some of them.
My name's Mark Watterson, and I've been coming to the Crucible Theatre to watch the snooker since the first year it came here in 1977. Well, it was my uncle, Mike Watterson, that brought it here. My auntie had visited the theatre to watch a play in 1976, and she recommended it as a great place that she thought snooker could be played. I love collecting memorabilia on snooker. I've done ever since I was a child. I've got programmes from the 40s, 50s, right through. A lot of them signed by most of the players today. Lots of stuff relating to Joe Davis, letters, documents from even the early days of the Crucible Theatre. John Smythe was the first referee to referee the final here in 1977, and his partner, after he passed away, gave me a pair of his gloves, his bow tie, and an original coin from 1977 that he used to toss up for the break. I got to say the semi-final when Jimmy White played Alex Higgins in 1982 is one that'll live me forever.
Oh, marvellous!
That evening was a Friday evening. I'd been on the Thursday to see it in the afternoon, and then I came down on the Friday evening, but there were no seats available. So my uncle sat me in the press box behind. I had exactly the same view that you get on YouTube today. And I remember wanting that game to go on, and I can still remember Higgins making that classic break even to this day.
So Jimmy White concedes.
I'm meeting people now from everywhere, from Finland, from Latvia, from Lithuania, also all over the world. It's become a global thing. I've got a friend coming from New York today. We have a great time. There's a buzz amongst the fans. We have nights out, we have gatherings together. It's fantastic in Sheffield at this time of year. Every April, to me, Sheffield is snooker city. I just can't imagine, because it's been there all my life, not coming to the Crucible Theatre anymore. It would be the end of the year if it ever left here.
My name's Taz. I'm working at the Crucible for the security. I have been here, probably over the last 10 years, working with the snooker, up in the Winter Gardens, looking after the BBC, down at the front, doing the searching, getting all the customers in, and then the last few years I've been on stage door. It's not like coming to work at all when the snooker's on. It's completely different from the theatre side of things. The audience and the customers that we get coming in are completely different. The snooker audience is different to a ballet audience. I get people on the stage door from like 7 o'clock in the morning, and they'll still be there at 12 o'clock at night if the match is still playing, and they're waiting for that one player. They just need that signature or that photo, and they will wait all day. The biggest crowd is always for Ronnie, always for Ronnie. Such the bad boy of snooker, and everybody loves him, and he's such an incredible player. When his head is in the game, there's nobody can stop him. I usually nip through and have a walk through and sit in the cafe during my breaks and stuff, just because the buzz inside the building is incredible, and everybody's so excited, and it's the place to be. It's the mecca for snooker. Until you've actually been here and witnessed what it does for the city, it's just such an incredible atmosphere.
I'm Ivan Hershevitz. I'm the head of media for the World Snooker Tour. I've been coming to the Crucible for 25 years. I'm a massive snooker fan, first and foremost. We have like 25 tournaments a year throughout the world, and they're all special in their own way, but this is the one which is just so intense and means so much more to the players and means so much to everyone. One of my key roles is working with the broadcasters, making sure they get the right access to the players, starting at the media day on the eve of the championship when we have all of the top 16 there. One of the most important things is the post-match process. So I'll be the one who meets them more or less within a few seconds of them coming off the table and making sure that they do all their post-match interviews. So it might be a live studio interview and then a press conference and then recorded interviews afterwards. And that for me is probably the most fascinating part of the job, because you do get involved in the emotions and what the players go through. You know, I've seen some amazing things over the years. 2019, a semi-final, John Higgins played David Gilbert. It was a great match. It went down to the deciding frame. It could have gone either way in the last few balls, and Higgins won. And then David came out, and I asked him to do an interview with Rob Walker. And I could see he was going through all these emotions at the time because he'd had this great one, but in the last minute he'd lost. And it actually brought tears to my eyes just to see how much it meant and see what he was going through.
You've done yourself proud, mate.
Thank you. Cheers.
Often I'm in the building before play starts at 9 a.m. and I'm usually the last person to leave the media room and turn the lights out at sometimes after 1 a.m. You don't get that much sleep during the tournament, so it can be quite tiring, but you kind of get carried along by the adrenaline, and then you get to the final and the whole story comes to this kind of massive crescendo. I think the thing about the Crucible and the World Championship is it's the history. Every time you walk through the doors and you remember some of those great memories, and it feels the same, but then it's always different. There's always a new story.
I'm Jan Verhaas, senior referee, World Snooker, and it's my 31st year at the Crucible. There's nothing like the Crucible. Crucible is a one-off venue, and it's just nothing like any other event. The positioning around the table for a referee is completely different than we've trained them for all those years, because it's like a tight environment here. The crowd is so close to you, and just the tension of it all being World Championships, there's nothing like it. Once you're here, you know what it's all about, you know what the sport is all about. Obviously we train all the refs up for this moment, and they all say, once they walk out here, that's their pinnacle of their career. There's no place like it. Yeah, it's just something that I always wanted to do, to be here, and when I was finally here, it was just a dream come true. I've done 6 finals. My favourite moment was when I refed Ronnie in the final after he took a year off and then won that tournament. So Ronnie is just a legend in the sport. To referee him here at the Crucible is just also a dream come true. And it was just the brilliance of him during that whole tournament was just immaculate.
Ronnie O'Sullivan is the 2013 World Snooker Champion.
I get butterflies for every session that I walk out here, and that also got to do with the way you get introduced. It's just the tension. Take 2 ball markers, just a coin for toss in for players to break or for a respot black. I have an extra pair of gloves out there at the markers desk just in case something happens. an extra bow tie just in case something happens. I daren't touch that table to play snooker on. And they don't want me to play snooker on. You've never seen me play snooker, but they don't want me on that table.
I'm Martin Clark. I'm a World Snooker Tournament Director, and I've been coming to the Crucible since 1983. Basically running the whole tournament, really. From dealing with the players, the formats, dealing with TV, making sure everybody's in the right place at the right time. And then it's just basically to make sure everything's working okay and just making sure everything runs smoothly. At the start of sessions, you're always with the players with the walk-ons, so you always follow them into the arena for the last player in, and they get such a reception, it's unbelievable. Well, as a player, I mean, I didn't really have a great record at the Crucible, but I love coming here. Oh, it's just a fantastic place to play. It's such a special atmosphere, and just being introduced to all the nerves you get standing behind the curtain, just waiting to play, is just fantastic. I've been working for World Snooker now for 24, 25 years, so I've been to every World Championship since 2000, 2001 up to the present day. The crowd is so close to you. When you're sitting down in the chair or playing shots, you can feel everything, even the breathing behind you when you're playing your shots. It's a bit intimidating, really. It's something I've always been involved in since I've been a young lad playing snooker, and it's just when I stop playing, just to work within it definitely don't feel like you're coming out to work. It just feels just very enjoyable. It's something I love.
What an absolutely beautiful piece. And we've had Mark and Taz and Ivan and Jan and Martin with a pair, Martin. Didn't you look handsome? Still does look handsome. But they are absolutely integral and a fundamental part of the success of this championship. And it was really delightful for us all to see them profiled this afternoon, because they've all become friends. In fact, we've all become a bit of a family on this wonderful sport at the Crucible Theatre. There was a lot of mentions of Ronnie O'Sullivan in that piece as well, weren't there? And indeed, he is the talk of the town again after a morning session, which is, well, by his very high standards, been pretty shocking, actually, because it was only the fourth time in his career that he suffered an 8-0 whitewash, and it was inflicted by Zhao Sintong, who has moved 12-4 up in this semi-final, needing just 5 more for a place in the final. Now, look at this frame-by-frame analysis of session 2. It's one-way traffic. Usually it's a patchwork of yellow wins, frame wins and grey frame losses, but this is one-way traffic. And look at O'Sullivan's scoring stats. Not a single break over 30 this morning as Zhao completely dominated. Now, overnight you will know that Ronnie changed his equipment. A new tip and a new ferrule on the cue. Now, this seemed to give him all kinds of problems, as you can see from some of these shots. And it is very technical, so I'm not even going to attempt to explain it. Steve Davis is in the practice room. Can you explain why O'Sullivan struggled so badly today, Steve?
Hello, Hazel. Yes. So a lot has been made of the new ferrule, the tip, the cue, new cue. Everybody else knows what we're talking about, but this is that might get a little bit complicated about what happens when you change your cue, you change your ferrule. So when you're playing with centre ball striking, let's assume you're going to try and pot the yellow. Going to try and pot the yellow along the line, playing plain ball straight along the line. You've got the cue along the line of the baulk line. But when you play with side spin, all of a sudden, strange things happen. When you play with side spin, say right-hand side, you push the ball over to the left. So, in order to try and pot the yellow along the baulk line, I have got to aim my cue offline. So it's across the line of the shot. You can see the baulk line there, and that was how you'd have to be able to hit the ball, the yellow straight. You'd have to then aim offline. So, what goes into how much you aim offline? These are the things. Cue flex. Cue flex. The stiffer the cue, the more it will push the ball off course. Tip diameter. The thicker the diameter of the tip, the more mass it is at the end of the cue, the heavier the end of the cue is, it will push the ball off course more. Third one, ferrule material. different types of material for ferrules. The titanium one we talked about is lighter than brass. If the brass one is heavier, it will push the ball more off course. Tip density. A thick tip or a hard tip won't push the ball off course. A soft tip will compress and push the ball off course. Cloth thickness. Thick cloth grips it a bit more, doesn't push off course. Humidity. Humidity in the room, cloth soaks it up, it pushes the ball off course less. Other things, the amount of side spin you put on the ball, the further off line you play, the more it will push off course, and the force of the shot. The harder you play the shot, the more it will push off course. But if you haven't got the first 4 right, because you've got a new cue, a new ferrule, a new tip, you're really at sea.
Professor Davis, thank you so much. It's an easy game, or at least I thought it was, till I saw all that. That's technical. And did you understand any of it, Stephen?
Yeah, it's finished. Thank goodness.
He's finished. The long and short of it is, Ronnie is struggling with the equipment at the moment, yeah?
And what I said at the beginning, Ronnie's not playing well either. All those things, which they're all true with Steve's son of it. We take the mickey, but Steve knows about this stuff. But if you're not playing well as well, those are going to be, amplified.
Indeed. It's been a very, very shocking situation for Ronnie O'Sullivan early in that session. And indeed, the session whitewash, as I say, was only the 4th in his history here that he'd ever had. So he's got an awful lot to try and rectify by the time they come out at 7 o'clock. But we've got 4 more frames to play in our second semi-final. Let's remind you of how things have gone so far this afternoon. Well, at one point, it wasn't looking fantastic for Mark Williams as he went 3 frames to 7 behind against the world number 1, but he certainly hauled himself back into the semi-final with breaks of 105 and then 84 in the last couple of frames. There's only 2 in it now. 4 more frames to play in this second session, and we'll return you into the capable hands of John Parrott and Dennis Taylor.
Thank you, Hazel.
Thank you.